my dog is playing guard dog for me right now.
Oh my
She's just sitting here and won't move. She's just making sure I'm okay.
Oh my gosh, I love that. How sweet. Celeb Secrets is hanging out with Brian here from the Somerset. I cannot believe that I'm saying the Somerset is still a band. I don't think like 16-year-old me would ever think that this would be a thing again, which I'm really, really excited about. So I need to know what kind of sparked that reunion that you were like, hey, I want to start this project again.
Honestly, it was a silver lining of the pandemic. Like, honestly, I don't know if it would have happened without it. LA went into lockdown at the beginning of pandemic in March of 2020. I had just gotten a dog and I drove to Arizona, where I'm from originally, just to get out of the city.
Yeah.
Thought I'd stay for a couple weeks, stayed for about a year. and then I didn't really know anybody in Arizona anymore, except Steven from the Somerset had just moved back there and built a studio in his house there. And we just started hanging out for fun, no pressure. And then that turned into us making some music for fun. One day I picked up a guitar and I was like, I just want to write a song for fun with no pressure. No, it doesn't matter if it even sees the light of day. And I wrote Street Lightning in like 2 hours. And I sent it to Steve. And around the same time, Steven was kind of like, do you want to make some music? We were both kind of like flirting with the idea of it. And I sent him this acoustic iPhone voice note of Street Lightning, and he brought it to life. And I was like, hey, this sounds really cool. This kind of sounds like the Somerset again. And so we showed it to John and Jess, and they were losing their minds. And we were like, should we do this again? I think maybe the timing is good. And then this crazy thing happened where we started getting offers to play festivals, but no one knew that we were making new music again. So like the timing was really good on all fronts.
No, that's crazy. And I feel like the pandemic, like you said, kind of sparked this, because I feel like so many bands are coming back together. I mean, MGK is kind of like paving the way for that like punk pop sound. So it's great to see that, you know, like you're coming back and there are other bands that are coming back. And you kept the sound. You really didn't change it, which I think is good.
I think with the Somerset, fortunately, we've always been willing to try other things. So like, it's funny, like the Somerset sound it's a little bit pop punk, but then we'll put out songs like FTS with Travie McCoy that's like piano and saxophones, and it still kind of feels reminiscent of songs from our last album. So I think as far as the Somerset sound, as long as it feels like energetic and melodic, I think we kind of can get away with a lot of things. So I'm excited to be making new music. Honestly, we've been making, I know Blossom comes out on Friday, but we've already been making some more music for some potential stuff. And we just went on tour for a month for the first time in 6 years, and it was almost like getting to road test it. We went out like playing old songs in front of people again, and having them react made me want to go write some songs that sounded like our first album from like 15 years ago. So we've been in the studio all week making songs that sound like 2005, and it's been really fun.
I love that. I love that. Now, talk to me about Blossom. Is there like a story that you're trying to tell? Like, because I know kind of artists get really creative with the name and kind of like the story that they really want to portray with it.
I'd say yes and no. I mean, yes, in the sense that we really liked the name Blossom because it felt like symbolic for the idea that we took 5 or 6 years apart from each other, all to kind of grow up into individual people, fully realize individual versions of ourselves, and then sort of grow back together as a band. The idea of something in bloom, the idea of something blossoming from what it was to what it is now was very sort of metaphorical for what we were looking for. And I think a lot of these songs are about, like particularly Back Together is about like growing up and apologizing for things my younger self did and kind of learning how to grow. But then there's songs like My Own Medicine on this album that are about like sort of getting over some bad habits. And I think a lot of this album was kind of about getting to the other side of growing up, and Blossom really felt like it made sense in respect to where we are as people, where we've come from since Stories from Monday, our last album, and I think what the music shapes now. So I think Blossom was just kind of a great sort of encapsulator for all of it.
No, totally. I feel like the way that you had the songs and how you kind of put them in that order really does tell a story. And I was actually going to ask you about Back Together, because it is the last track and you hear the lyrics and you're like, that hits home to so many people. I feel like so many people can relate to that song.
Yeah, good. I honestly, like, that's my favorite song I've ever written.
Yeah.
Songs like that are like once in a lifetime. I think when we had just kind of decided that we were going to start doing this again, and I remember we had a conversation. I remember it was the day that we all kind of, Steven and I played everybody's Street Lightning. We decided we were going to maybe do this again. And I realized I had a lot to say and a lot to like, that I wanted to say specifically to our fans and to the band, the rest of the band, as far as just like, not so much in like equal parts an apology and also a announcement of gratitude is kind of what I think that song was to me. And that song is like, we've been playing it at some of the live shows, and it's just a different it's a different experience than I could have ever imagined. It's really connecting with people, and that's probably the most proud of anything I've ever been.
Yeah, no, it's good. It's good. Of course. But I have to talk about the song with Travie McCoy, FTS. Like, what? Like, seriously? I was a scene kid growing up. So, like, I'd go to all these shows, I'd listen to all the music, and I hear this song, and I'm just like, this is so good. And then seeing your video, like, the reaction when you heard Travie's verse, that's, like, how I was reacting when I heard it.
We actually wrote most of that song about 8 years ago. We wrote that song for our last album, Stories from Monday, and we just kind of put it on the shelf. Something about it wasn't fitting, didn't make sense, but we knew like there was a kind of an energy with that song that was really exciting, and it kind of came back into the conversation this time around. We've sort of worked on the production and got it right, but something was still sort of missing. We reached out to Travie kind of as a Hail Mary with like a day or two to spare, and he said yes. And then it was kind of like, okay, well, so he lives on the other side of the country. He's going to write and record this verse. We don't know what it's going to sound like, and if it doesn't work, then we have to scrap that. We have to turn this thing in either way. So, and then he sent this verse that just blew my mind, and he made a song that was so silly, feels so heartfelt, just talking about his sobriety and like the getting to like kind of falling back in love with its music during the pandemic, which related so much to me as somebody who got sober during the pandemic and started his band again during the pandemic. So I really related to what he was saying, and it made the song mean so much to me.
Now I know you have other collaborations on the track. You worked with Chrissy from Against the Current for Teenagers, right? So can you talk to me about how you guys kind of connected for this song? I feel like everyone one way or another wants to work with each other, so I'm just curious.
Well, so we've known Chrissy and Against the Current for a long time. We toured with them in the past, like on Warped Tour and some in Europe. We wanted to feature on Teenagers, particularly a female singer, just to kind of bring the opposite point of view. And she came by and she did it, and it was awesome to have her. That one was pretty easy. Jess just kind of texted her, and she was all about it.
Yeah, no, totally. Now, like we've been saying, everyone's kind of like getting back together. You know, you guys are doing collaborations. If there's like one band that you could kind of like bring back and could do a feature on a track, who would you want to work with?
I like this. If we could do a feature with anybody, I'd probably want to do a feature with The Format, Nate Ruiz's band prior to Fun. They announced, we sort of grew up there. I mean, we grew up in Arizona underneath them as like, they were like the band we wanted to be. And I think it'd be a lifelong dream of mine to do a summer set in The Format song or to crossover. I think that'd be really cool and very specific. But I don't know. I mean, there's so many people I'd like to do a feature with all over the place.
So, you know, I was scrolling through social media before I came and chatted with you online, and I saw that Chelsea came out to one of the shows, which was like, I feel like my teenage heart was just like screaming because the nostalgia. Do you guys still keep in contact? Like, how is that?
We do. We're all in each other's lives forever. She's like a lifelong friend of ours. The best part about it is she didn't tell us she was coming. I get a text from her, and we probably hadn't spoken in a year or two, and I get a text from her that's just a picture of our merch table, and she was like, which one should I buy? And it like wasn't computing. I was like, wait, are you here at this show? And she came with her mom, and that was really cool.
Now, you know, we are Celeb Secrets, Brian. So like, I asked people like secrets, fun facts. What's like a secret about the record that people wouldn't know just by listening to it? I know we like talked about it in depth, but is there something, maybe like a cute little story that you have?
There's an intro track on the album with this like little girl saying, I want to see the color of everything. And that's actually just Steven, our bass player, pitched up in a recording to sound like a little 7-year-old girl. We honestly thought we'd replace it at some point, but it just never needed to.